Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. This is episode 138 of the Legend of Zelda D&D campaign. I am ArticulateT, the Game Master, and with me as always, I have Nether, playing Renji Vox.
That's me!
I have Hikan Sio, being played by Avrdal.
Hello.
I have Robot Pirate, playing Zayden.
Hi.
That's the one, this is the...
Hello. You can trip you up now.
Because I know you mentioned it before, but do you want to go with the new one now? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, then I have Danny Cat playing Max.
Hello. I changed my username from Gastreth because there was no possible way of shortening it that sounded good, and also I just like this one better.
Yeah.
The TTRPG player formerly known as Kestreth.
Yeah.
Indeed. So
I finally got off my ass and changed it.
it's a very good username. It is a very good username.
Hello, Danny!
Hello.
So, friends, what happened last time?
Last time we met with the Storm's Eye, they were in a meeting with nobility that was aided, at least on our end, by the magical prowess of Zayden, who blessed the two charisma casters to be better at charisma checks. As they talked a lot, we as the Storm's Eye ended up assuading fears of attacks on the castle itself. We got a plan together for the most part. We figured out a lot of things with the help of the nobles. Then we had a vote to see what people would do, or if we were all in agreement on the plan to go to the Plain of Lament, get Nosgrada, and bring him here, kicking and screaming. And it was a unanimous decision. We ended the session with Zayden finally being able to use that Goron spice on Lord Rickshaw to very humorous ends. And
He just needs to get more used to flavors. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't know what he's talking
I
about.
believe he's sneezing a lot.
And I
No, he
believe
wasn't.
that was everything.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it wasn't.
No?
No, because we cut to our Goron buddy over at Audemars, Kai Kuana, who got a message from Nosgrada giving our heroes a 5-day time limit to get all this stuff done. That is where we ended.
Yes. Indeed it is. And so we return to our erstwhile party, currently unaware of the impending time limit, as they have finished their meal in Hyrule Castle and have after a bit more conversation, especially after Rickshaw excusing himself far sooner than everyone else, is escorted back to his estate. Everyone present has a relatively pleasant conversation about recent events and more hammering out of the details of the general plan, which was, if I remember correctly, you wished to orchestrate a situation by which you chose the battlefield and drag Nosgrada to it, as opposed to waiting for him to turn up and dealing with him when he gets there.
Basically, we are going to go and heist the villain.
Yes.
But yeah, and as the evening has kind of drags on, it was already dark by the time the meal started, and you know, most of the people sitting around the table are old and are tired and would like to go to bed at an earlier time frame. So they, one by one,
They're after
excuse
going after
them.
Betty Buys.
Yeah, they excuse themselves and will make their way off to ensure that everything that is their responsibility for the upcoming situation, the upcoming mission, to ensure the safety of Hyrule, is written down and passed to scribes and prepared for the morning for their individual oversight. Eventually, the royal family, all of whom are young in their own way, the eldest being 16, they each are encouraged to head off. As diligent and as determined and bright as Rufus is, he is still only 12. So he's already in the midst of kind of drifting off a little bit after the mission details are talked about, and he's kind of escorted out to be sent to bed, leaving you alone in the room with Nihilus and Uriel. Nihilus has since taken a seat at the table. It's like excusing formalities as Alea has taken responsibility to escort Sophitia and Marius to their own rooms. And Nihilus kind of like interlaces his fingers as he puts his elbows on the table and thinks slightly. And he says, to think that this has only been, what, a couple of months, maybe? To go from watching each of you be attendants to a noble going on little fetch quests to this. One would have thought that such a journey would take a lot longer.
I guess I grew up very quickly.
You did.
It's only been a couple of months. It's felt like 7 years.
It's weird. Yeah, Renji doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like he's 17 anymore. He grew up very fast.
They do. In either case, I would think that the safety of this land is in the best possible hands. And Uriel, on the opposite side of the table, smirks and kind of leans back and says, "Well, it's certainly been an experience for all of us. A very profitable one for me, but that's besides the point. What I would say." What I would say, though, it's I don't know. It's difficult to really quantify it, I think. After all, one has to wonder, what exactly are we gonna get ourselves in for? After this, I mean.
I've thought about that for a bit, but let's leave that to where we'll be when this is over.
Fair enough. Well, it is getting on, as it were. Unless y'all have any need for me in any other capacity, I think I shall make sure I get my rest in, as it were. He moves to
I
stand.
did have some business.
He looks over and smirks and says, well, if it's business you're looking for, I mean, the door will be open when I walk through it if you want to come down to the shop. I'm not too afraid of doing some late night work in that capacity.
I mean, I was wondering if you had finished my commission.
As best as one might. Come on, let's go. I'm sure that
Sure.
y'all wouldn't mind perusing the wares, as it were, at least one more time.
I was gonna say, I haven't been paid in a while, so can't.
Yeah, we're kind of strapped for cash.
I do
Comparatively
not
speaking.
have a lot, but I have some.
Kind of like Uriel quirks a brow and then looks over to Nihilus, and Nihilus like, "Oh yes, you haven't actually been back to the castle for a long time."
Oh no, we have not been paid for anything that we've done since since being here last. So I kind of do I see the royal family there?
Hey guys.
Isn't a very good job. We got terrible odds, risk to our life, no pay.
Ended a civil war.
Can I raise my voice just a tad so that it echoes towards our beloved King Rufus?
I mean, it's a big castle. It's like,
Master says,
The room that doesn't matter.
can we just order some stuff and bill it to the castle?
like Uriel looks over to you
Ooh.
and then looks back to Nihilus and with like, blank check. Is like,
I don't know how this works.
Look, I've what's the word?
It's for,
I don't
for
know what it
saving
is
the
with King
world.
Rufus, but I think asking for forgiveness rather than permission might actually work very well with him.
It's for saving the world.
Yeah. Huh. I never thought of that.
And Nihilus just kind of like pinches the bridge of his nose, like, in this one instance, yes, I think that shall suffice. I would advise,
Thanks,
however,
God.
that we will need to ensure that the numbers are appropriate. So consider it a loan for now until we can be assured that you can keep it.
Just take it out of our pay when we eventually get it.
That's one way of going about it. And we can always talk to Uriel about a lease. Who knows how long we'll need this stuff?
Nero just kind of smiles and rubs his hands together and is like, I do love a midnight sale. Okay, everyone onwards. I will ensure to write up a receipt. And he smiles wide with and Nyla's kind of fine, go. I will take care of it.
I think as we're walking with Uriel, I'm kind of I will ask if there's any possibility. Probably not, since this is going to be bespoke. But I have boots of speed, and I have a cloak, and I was wondering if he could make that into one combined thing.
And you kind of like mulls it over as you walk through the castle halls and make your way and like exit from one of the gates, heading northwards towards the noble district. And he says, "Are you preferring that your cloak has the properties of the shoes as well, or the shoes have the properties of the cloak?"
I think it might be best to put it in the cloak, since you've already added some stuff onto that.
Well, it might take me a couple days, but it could be done potentially. I mean, it's worth a shot. As he like examines you up and down.
It's the Sheikah cloak of billowing protection. Also, my captions made a very funny Uriel-related stuff. It became the cloak of billing protection.
That sounds like an offshoot. Actually, no, that wasn't armor in Zelda.
Yeah,
no,
technically,
it's
I guess.
Protection against being billed.
Fucking armor of resistance VAT. Yeah, he kind of nods a bit and says, well, it's certainly something that can be done. Bear in mind, however, as much as I can be commissioned for things in the future, if we're going to be doing a united defense against the big bad, as it were, it might be worth noting that my duties might be split between this and, of course, my duties as a Lord of Hyrule.
Yes, understandably so.
He kind of like continues to mull it over as you walk through the streets, eventually finding your way to his shop. He takes out a key, which looks elaborate and ever-changing in his hand, and he puts it into the keyhole, turns it, and opens the door, and you see the gilded room with all the lockboxes along the walls that you've become familiar with as Uriel's magical machinations.
I'm wondering, you say the key is ever changing.
Yeah.
Does that mean that he has like rolling encryption on his door?
Essentially.
Nice.
I was picturing that if you don't use that key, then the door doesn't even lead to his shop, it just leads to an empty room.
That'll be terrible for lockpicking as well.
Yeah.
If the lock changes as well.
Yeah. But as Uriel kind of enters the room, the candles that float near the ceiling ignite, and he moves over to his desk, takes a seat, and tenses his fingers as he looks over all of you. And before he speaks, he looks to the side, leans down, opens what appears to be a drawer in his desk, and removes what seems to be the hilt of your sunblade, which is the design has been adjusted so that it is significantly more blue than before. But you can, you can see that this shard of, or this little shard of Imperium that was once a letter opener has been kind of integrated into the weapon. It says, it ain't done much in order to improve its capabilities in combat. It'll do more or less the exact same thing, but the actual the blade itself will do its best to channel the magic that is in that piece of Imperium. It means that any non-enchanted abyssite will probably not stand a chance against it. But, well, standard properties when it comes to magical weapons apply. You have to really go to town on it in order to make sure that it gets through.
Would you recommend slicing or piercing?
He kind of thinks a moment and says, well, given that I haven't actually seen the sword itself, hard to say. Wait, have you actually told Uriel that's your plan to damage the sword?
Oh, I can't recall.
Okay. So in that case, he doesn't say that. He
I
says,
know we talked to him on why we wanted Imperium, because he was one of the magic peoples, and we had a whole long discussion with him about it too.
Okay.
True.
Yeah, so in that case, there's well, I mean, it depends. If you're...
We're going to be dealing with a very big sword.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, that's the problem, really. It's in all my years that I've been doing this. While I've heard of Abyssad and Imperium, I've never actually seen either of them, let alone seen the result of their clash. So I can't say for certain what will happen when you try it. And even then, this isn't true Abyssad, or this isn't true Imperium hitting Abyssad. This is energy channeled through Imperium. You might just have to figure it out.
I just take
That makes sense. Yep. Also, and I pull from, I loosen the scabbard on my hip, and put the rapier that I had on loan, back on the counter.
Oh.
This has served me well for the time I carried it.
Thank you very much. And considering in the future and how stories and legends tend to pass on, it now has a story that'll up its value. Thank you very much. And just kind of puts it to the side.
I'll take a 5% commission.
You wish. Okay, so
Speaking of,
yeah. So Max, you said you wanted to have a look at the sword.
I did? What?
I think someone said they wanted to have a look at the thing.
oh, I was thinking if I could, from memory, draw a picture of what we've seen the sword to look like.
Oh.
Does anyone have minor illusion?
Yeah.
Do I have minor illusion? I don't
Because
believe
we saw
I do.
an artist interpretation of the
I
sword.
have major image and minor illusion.
I have
You-
neither.
You've seen
Did
the
we
sword in
see-
person.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
saw the sword.
Vas can
Oh, yeah.
produce an image of the sword if you want.
Yeah.
How big
Yeah.
do you want it?
Pulse eyes. Do it.
Okay, major image then.
1-to-1. Alright, so you use major image. Or you use image in order to make an accurate depiction of the Death Sword. The sword itself, now that it is within the area, is very tall. It is essentially 9-10 feet long, and the blade itself is roughly 3 feet wide. Running along the spine of the blade appears to be rough crimson runes, and the hilt seems to have cloth wrapped around it, but a chain produced at the pommel. It is clearly not an elegant weapon. It is a cleaver, after all, and it is the actual blade itself appears chipped in places, though you can't tell, given the nature of the weapon, if that means that it's been used a lot, or if it was an intended aesthetic design. You don't know exactly whether or not Nazgûl has an intended design for his weapon, but it's Uriel kind of leans forward on the desk as he examines it, and his eyes go up and down a bit, and says, "It's a big sword. And you say that this was a sword spirit?"
Yeah. It is a container.
He kind of like leans back in his chair. Well,
And we're going to get her back. I don't know if this... I think this might be the first time that Uriel hears that particular thing.
I think it might be. So he cocks an eyebrow and is like, so you met him?
We met her.
Let me clarify. We did meet Nazgrada because we saw him in the Plane of Lament. He closed the door on us, but we're talking about Mara, who is the Sword of Spirit.
He's like, his eyes go wide. Oh.
Yeah.
Ah.
We have a means of doing so.
I have a plan.
So he kind of like, as you say,
I'm going to need to help me be as powerful as possible. I won't like it. I ask that it's temporary. But I need to get this shot off. Because if I don't, the other alternative we have for getting her back is far worse.
Yeah, thinks. Looks over the sword again.
And I have a suggestion out of character for the help me be as powerful as possible temporarily thing.
Those have been pinged.
Yes.
I guess.
Oh.
Secrets.
Oh.
That is not good.
That sounds great. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that sound. Hey guys, have you heard of the robe of the Archmagi?
I have. I do not have enough information to say one thing or the other.
It's kind of one of the most powerful items for a mage to have.
Yeah.
It is a legendary item that requires attunement by a sorcerer, warlock, or wizard.
Yep. Max is basically asking for something like this temporarily.
It's kind of the first, even with the conversation that happened previously, and even with the
And Uriel knows that Max does not like to be powerful.
yeah. Uriel kind of sits and mulls this over. His eyes are still locked on the image of the sword. It's the most contemplative and quiet that you've probably seen him, even with the attack of the Harvester, even with the conversations in the castle just an hour or two prior. He thinks long and hard about that. Now, I won't ask you to voice your plan. I know spellcasters in a variety of ways, and as much protection as I have and privacy I have in this little demiplane of mine. Often the best way to keep a secret is make sure that no one knows it in the first place. there might be something I can do for you. But my real concern at this moment is this. Even in most circumstances, no one accidentally becomes a lich. It is a long, drawn-out decision, one that requires an understanding of the arcane of a level that most folk can only ever dream of. If Nazgûl is a lich, if that, he points to the image of the sword, is his phylactery, and if he's been around for as long as he has been, then there are certain things that must be considered. As powerful as you are, as powerful as you would be, he's older than you. And I can bet in certain cases, as unfortunate as this might sound, he may well be smarter than you. Magic isn't necessarily about taking as much strength and putting it into a spot. It's also about knowing when and where to cast your magic. Thinking so many steps ahead of your opponent. I can grant you this power, a lot of it. There is something that I have in my possession that might fit you. But you have to understand that there's going to be more to it than just that. Are you prepared for that?
Uriel, I have been thinking about nothing else since she was taken. Don't think I'm going into this without thinking.
Just want to make sure. And I'll provide this to you in a second, after we've taken care of other business for now. And he looks at the image once more and mulls it over and says, so, this here sword spirit, inhabiting the sword that is also serving as the phylactery of this one here lich.
We sure hope so. Because otherwise we are way further from home.
Now, to put it simply, the most basic form of phylactery is essentially meant to be used for the sake of consuming other souls. It is there to house something, which is the soul and mind and will of the lich it is there to protect, but it also requires a constant fuel source of souls. The fact therein that this was Mara, is Mara, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with Ez.
Tells me one of two things. Either it has the property to passively take souls, something that was beyond the control of Mara herself, or it does not rely on that. Which means that if a lich has been able to figure out the fuel consumption problem of a phylactery, then that is quite a significant feat in and of itself. As for getting Mara out of it, well, it does simply rely on whether or not Nazgûl is able to stop you in doing this. And this doesn't just mean stopping you from casting any spells in the moment. It could also mean that allowing you to do it and then simply undoing it later on. He made the sword after all. So, my question to you in this battle of magic Do you have every contingency possible in mind?
Probably not.
Would you like my suggestion?
Absolutely.
Unless Nazgradar has managed to perfect the form of phylactery that allows him to regenerate, to recover from wounds, then the amount of time it would take him to reform would be a matter of days. The easiest, I think, the most simple form of dealing with this problem altogether would, of course, be to ensure that his physical form is indisposed, that his essence is healing itself within the phylactery. That'll give you as much time as possible to carefully commit to your plans and save your friend. Doing so in the middle of a fight, while possible, carries a lot of risks. After all, he gestures to Max. What if you get knocked down? Gestures to gestures to the rest of you and says, what if they get caught in a situation where you have to utilize what magic that you got that you would have saved for Mara in order to save them?
Every possible eventuality can't be prepared for.
He nods. Says, I know.
Magic, there's too many things magic can do.
Yeah. He nods and says, I know. But my suggestion in this instance is not necessarily to prepare for every possibility. It is to engineer a possibility you can prepare for. Lead him. Make him think that he's doing what he can do. Put him in a position where you have control. From what I can tell from the plan back at the castle, you already have that in terms of physical space to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, outmaneuvering folk in the great chess match that is Eternal Combat, that can be as small as a single movement or as long as a protracted war.
This is why you just punch stuff.
You're not wrong.
But I
Yes, he's
trust
lived
you've
a
got
long-
this.
Yes, he's been around a long time. Yes, he's a super smart mage or whatever. But he only relies on his own mind. We know that.
Mm-hmm. He does not trust anything else.
And he smiles and says, well, that's a good place to start. And Uriel straightens up a bit. Says, so, before I go and collect the trump card, as it were, is there any other business that folk would like to attend to?
I just want, like,
As I say, I might have to do a merger thing in order to have a achievement slot. So the bongos of concentration
Yes.
on 2 spells at once. Could I put 1 or 2 of the Bloodwell Claw of Chaos's things on those? Because I'm not going to be using the I'm not going to be using the claw as a casting implement when I've got the Cane of Samaria.
Sure. He kind of
The
like...
things that the Bloodwell Claw has out of character are the roll when you roll hurt dice, regain sorcery points, which might not be as useful in the big fight because I think it's just the big fight left.
Mhm.
And also the when you spend sorcery points on Madam Magic, choose a creature who takes damage from the spell, and they get disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until my next turn.
Okay,
I think that's the one I want to prioritize.
that's fair. He'll be happy to provide.
No, I'll just give him those. And okay, Zayden, carry on.
Zydel's like, I mean, all I was thinking is like some scrolls of protection from evil and good would be good. Or
I
maybe
can do protection from evil and good on everybody.
just on everyone.
Yes, because of the harp.
Let's
Right,
not harp on
what
about that.
what about other protective buff spells?
Hmm.
That
I
I
can
don't know.
have one of us be invisible for a minute.
There's one I'm thinking of. I can't remember what it is.
Did Broods get Heroes Feast? Because a scroll of Heroes Feast would be very nice and very helpful.
Shield of Faith. That's it. Give everyone +2 AC,
Mm,
or give a person +2 AC.
Shield of Faith would be pretty good.
My only other thought of the heart plan was
Hell,
that
I might switch. I might switch one of my spells out for that.
You were saying, Zaid, the only thing with the heart plan?
Heart plan does require concentration. Scrolls are just permanent. Well, for that
That's
time.
fair.
okay. Yeah, Hero will be able to provide you with some scrolls of protection from evil and good.
Okay.
He kind of like moves over to a section of wall, like places a hand on it and pulls it out. It's just literally just like shelves upon shelves of scrolls. And he asks if you needed any other spells within his capacity to cast as a wizard.
Gosh, it's been so long I don't remember much of the spell list in D&D anymore.
Same.
Wizards do basically all the arcane type spells.
Yeah, he'll let you, if you wanted to think about it between now and next session, then you're more than welcome to. He can
We will
like,
give him a shopping list that will be revealed next session.
yeah. Yeah. He'll say, okay. There is one thing that I've been thinking of, at least very briefly. He will take out a piece of parchment and a quill, and he will write on it a long-ish looking letter. He will sign it. He will fold it. He will then seal it with wax, and then on the front of the envelope, he writes Kazundas. He then takes the letter and hands it to Zayden and says, "There is something that I believe the people of the faith have on hand that, given the circumstances, I don't think they would mind allowing you to keep a hold of for a little bit. Just bring that to Lord Das, and well, hopefully he'll see sense in that regard."
I'll make a plan to go visit him tomorrow then, because I'm fairly sure it's very late now.
Oh yeah,
He was one of the people who went to bed earlier.
yeah. Then after that, he'll kind of like cast a glance over all of you and say, "Any more for any more?"
There are
Well-
two things on my list, one of which would probably be better for Zayden, but I'm going to ask about it anyway. Would our good friend Uriel have the Tome of Understanding and or the Manual of Quickness?
He will think on it for a moment. It's like,
Just pull out the one Max had and like, you got anything like this, but for fast or brain?
And I wouldn't mind hearing something about similar for
Or talk?
being more verbal, yes.
Fast brain or talk?
he kind of like looks over the tome of leadership, which is the talk one, because is that the one, or do you have the manual of health? Didn't you?
We had health.
Yeah,
which
with
is
health.
Okay, yeah. So he was going.
we had the Constitution one because it made Max have +6.
Nice. I think so. It says, well, a lot of these tomes and books, they're very rare editions because of how concise and capable they are. Copies are difficult to come by. I think I have one, but I can't remember exactly which one it is.
Worth a look.
Well, that'll be in the other place, or at least the more secure place. So before we continue in that direction, anything else from this little humble part of the shop, comparatively speaking?
I think I open my bag of holding and I start pulling out my old boots because I'm gonna have to wear something to walk home.
Okay, if that is the case.
And I'll leave the boots and I'll leave the cloak here.
Gonna add to the possible things as to ask about Scrolls of Death Ward.
Ooh.
He looks over to the scrolls. Says,
5 of them. In case we get Mara before he's dead.
That's a bit. I might have to source those.
It's okay.
Well, I'll do what I can.
Any kind of spell that would like allow us to say put Mara in a sealed off area so he couldn't interact with her.
You mean sequester?
Protective bubble. Yeah.
Because the only thing I could think of is sequester or banishment.
I'm not sure where banishment would send to them.
Demiplane.
Yeah, it's either. Well, it depends entirely on whether or not Mara's technical home plane is the surface world, at which point it would send it to a harmless demiplane, or the plane of lament, which is. Yeah.
Well, considering the wording I am using, it might be the surface world. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out.
We will find out.
Neutralized.
I think something like sequester would be better.
Let's see. Sequester. By means of this spell, a willing creature or an object can be hidden away.
It lasts until dispelled, which is better than banishment, which is like not long.
A minute in concentration, but then with the scroll, it doesn't matter with concentration.
But this is until dispelled and doesn't have concentration at all. It's way less risky, I think.
Perceived through scrying senses created by. Be hidden away, safe from detection for the duration. The condition for the spell to end early. The condition can be anything you choose, but must occur with or be visible within 1 mile of the target. Examples include after 1,000 years or when the Tarask awakens. The spell also ends as if the target takes any damage, which means that they can be hit. Because I'm looking at the wording and it's saying that it doesn't put them in another physical spot. It just makes them invisible and can't be scryed. So if you do that and Mara gets combed in a like invisible but combed on the middle of a battlefield, and then Nazgradar uses a big AoE, like banishment would take her out of the fight well, I say entirely, for a minute, depending on how long that lasts for. But
okay, different plan. We take a bit of convoluted route. We use a polymorph to turn her into something small, sequester her, then put her in a bag of holding.
I was gonna suggest just teleport her somewhere far away.
I would say the next available option, it would take a round or two in order to get this done, but you could try rope trick instead, which is actively a demi-plane that you can put them in, as opposed to taking a gamble as to what is considered their native plane, and it lasts for an hour.
I was gonna say, what if we just teleport her into the castle?
That works too.
It would.
We're looking at the teleport spell. Is there a permanent circle anywhere near here?
I don't think you've encountered a single teleport circle.
We haven't had anyone that said teleport.
It's true.
Well, we can go with the associated object thing and steal some bed linen from the royal suite.
Yeah.
I know what's perfect. We take a book from the library, give it back to her and say, you need to return this to the library when we teleport her back.
How long does it take to make a teleportation circle?
Let's see. Teleportation circle.
Because we could make one in our house.
It takes a minute. It lasts a round. Oh no, it takes a minute.
No, I mean, like, how long does it take to set up a permanent one?
A year.
Oh, a long ass time.
Okay.
Not fast enough.
Book and teleport plan.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. They've asked for like a scroll of teleport. Uriel says that he has one, and will provide it to you. The higher the level of the spell, the less he's got. So it's like,
Also, like, we're figuring stuff out for the fight. We also need to figure stuff out for the setting up the fight.
yes. Yeah,
So
a lot
setting
of
up the fight. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, a lot of setting up the fight, depending on exactly what it is you want to do, may also rely on talking with the other nobles as you go. But yeah, you'll at the very least, Uriel can provide you with individual magic items that he can that you can use and add to your utility belt of things. But
We're man.
yeah. But like big sweeping battle stuff, that would require some of the other folks.
Trying to think what else we could use to prepare. Because Death Ward, Heroes Feast, and Protection from Good and Evil seem to be good stuff for the battle, but we have to talk to DOS at least to get Death Ward, because religion. We have Protection from Good and Evil from Uriel now. Oh, yeah. Does anyone need any like magic supplies to cast some big spells? Because that might be
I think
an
I already
option
got them.
too. Okay.
I do not.
None of my big spells require specific components.
Okay.
Or at least the one that I do have already has it.
Okay.
I think that's about it. If we think of anything else, we can send you a message.
Of course.
Between now and the big fight.
Fair enough. If that's everything within this section of the shop, he'll turn, or like he'll stand properly and walk around the desk. He'll then tap it with his finger, and it sinks into the ground as panels begin to shift and move, revealing a set of stairs heading down. He says, "If you would like to follow me," and he heads on down.
I will happily check out the secret lair.
There we go.
Leia.
He leads you on a long sort of walk down a series of winding stairs that seem to continue into almost nothingness, before eventually reaching what appears to be a large gilded vault door. He takes out another ever-shifting key and then holds it to the door, waits a moment, and then taps it before a series of heavy tumblers and the sounds and smells of different magical effects disengaging in a protracted minute-long sequence of unlocking before it eventually creaks open, revealing what appears to be a large room which contains 3 items, each one on a stand. The one on the left appears to be a greatsword with this elegant design and a pearlescent sheen to it. It bears the religious symbols of the golden goddesses, all engraved upon the hilt, and it seems to give off its own light. It shimmers and shines in what little light there is, almost resplendently. On the right appears to be what's another thing here? On the right appears to be a what looks to be an ordinary wooden sword. It just which is kind of propped up in this same thing, but it seems very mundane, out of place for a locale like this. But it's of course, it being Uriel, it must have a purpose, whatever it may be.
Does it have one leaf growing out of it?
No.
Mm.
And in the center, draped over a stand, is what appears to be a robe of some kind. It has a metallic sheen to its silvery cloth, and seems striking despite its simplistic design. Uriel kind of leads you to this center platform and says, this here is one of, if I recall correctly, 6 robes of the Archmagi. This one in particular used to belong to Paki, but Paki was a character. I don't know exactly where he disappeared to, but he left his robe behind, and now I have it. Robes of this caliber are weaved from, well, the weave itself. Each thread is drenched in arcane power that is untold in its own way. Wearing it will give you a bit of a boost. It won't overpower you, but it will be a significant upgrade, as it were. You're more than welcome to wear it, but I will be expecting it back.
I definitely would not want to keep it.
That's good.
I'm just looking
I
at him
know
saying, you know I wouldn't.
You probably I think you look really good in it.
Temporarily.
Would you like me to keep it stored here for now until you desperately need it, or would you like to take it away now?
It's probably better to have it ready.
Very well. And he'll,
Because I know that if I leave it here, it'll still be here when the fight starts.
You know, fair.
I will forget.
He will gently take it from the stand. He will fold it carefully into a nice, neat little bundle, and will hand it to you.
Yeah, I need to attune to it before I put it on because wings.
Yep. He'll hand it to you and say, "There you go."
Just take it and say, thanks.
Not a problem. It's honestly, I suppose, in terms of fate and all that kind of thing, it's almost a shame that I didn't have Samaria's. You got a stick after all. It would be a fit in the tire, but
I think he's still wearing it.
probably.
What's the deal with those swords?
He points to the more resplendent one and says, "That there is the first holy avenger that has ever been forged upon this world." I don't recall who wielded it. I don't recall when they commissioned it or how they acquired its blessing from all three goddesses, but it wound up in my collection after a while. Unfortunately, much like the Master Sword itself, the Holy Avenger there is required to be attuned to a divine warrior of sorts. He kind of shrugs and says, "You know how paladins are."
Yeah, we have one for a friend. I'm just trying to figure out if I should ask for it to take it to the friend, or if the friend's gonna meet us here, and then I could just send them over here anyway.
Yeah, this sword may have seen some use in the previous campaign. By a certain monk character who was also part paladin.
Yeah.
Paladin was on my list. I decided to go fighter instead.
He then turns to the wooden sword, a simple short sword looking thing, and says, "Now, I believe that used to belong to at least one of the legendary heroes before. Can't remember which one." He thinks. Might have been the hero of men, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if it has any intrinsic arcane properties, but it's relic like that, best to keep it safe.
I think Renji kind of glances at it from a distance. Takes the hilt of aspiration from his belt. I think I prefer this one.
Say too better.
Yeah, thanks. It's lighter too. Because, no, never mind.
If you're going to be making jokes like that in my vault, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
This is just like Max is like, oh no, this thing's pretty good. Just hefting the rope.
And then you mentioned that you might have one of the books.
Yes, actually. He will turn to the back wall. He'll walk over and he'll move a hand over it, find a spot, push it in briefly, and then remove the thing, remove the cover, and then take out a book. Could, for the sake of it being like an hour and 10 minutes into the game and needing to roll at least one die, could someone roll for me a d6?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a 3.
Only 3. So he takes out the tome and he presents it to you. It appears to be a standard sort of it appears to be a book with a thick brown leather cover. It has a lot of golden filigree on the cover itself, and the emblem on the front appears to be the impression of a person running.
So it's not how to make friends and influence people.
Sadly not.
No.
It says,
Unless
there
you've
it
been
is.
running for office.
I guess the one I had was a manual of quickness of action.
Okay. I will ask for it.
He will gently hand you the book. I will have to charge the castle for that one.
Manual of go fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to charge the castle for that one. After you use it, I won't be able to actually sell it to anybody for its uses for another century or so.
I guess the royal family can pay it back over that time.
I suppose so, yes.
Just make some rules of interest in your favor.
Well, I mean, circumstances are circumstances. There ain't no profit to be made in the end of existence. It's very bad for business, after all.
Yep.
I think some people might be forgetting that, but that might be too on the nose for the current climate.
Nah. Nothing's too on the nose for these people. Anyway. Sometimes you need to be as blunt as a hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could we just borrow the big sword in case we run into Tyrina? And then I think that's everything that I can think of.
He kind of
Just
looks,
clearing him out.
Yes.
he looks over the sword and says, and then he thinks a moment, because it's been a while since he's seen Tyrina.
It'll add to the story.
Yeah, you enchanted her axe to do more against undead.
I mean, I suppose if she's around, but I'll keep it here for the time being. But I will keep that in mind. Do you have any idea on when you're next going to be seeing her?
Unfortunately, no.
Depends on how quickly we can scry and or send a message.
Well,
I'll hand him the claw and the bangos in order to have them mushed together
that's the case.
in some fashion.
And he'll kind of like as he takes this, he'll walk you out and lock the vault behind him again, and
Yep.
bring you back into the into the store proper.
It'd be really funny if it turns out that wooden sword is like perfect for fighting Nazrudar. It's blessed by all those goddesses. Maybe it can break the bad metal.
It is like a break sword over knee, summon Link. That's it.
Yeah. Summon Link with the Master Sword at like the end of the game where he was the most powerful, whichever.
20 hearts.
Yeah, the strongest
Or 24.
Link.
Summon all Links.
It's a
All of them.
It's a percentile die where like on a 1 you get like Lonk or something, and
On
then
a 1 you get Link at the very start of Link to the Past.
yeah, and on 100 you get Breath of the Wild speedrunner Link.
Yeah.
It's just everywhere.
Okay, I have to ask real quick. Have you guys seen lore-accurate Link videos?
I haven't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna find a couple and I'll send them to
Just
to
put 'em
Hyrule
in- put 'em-
Chronicles chat. Yeah.
Throw him
Yeah.
in there,
Yeah. But yeah, he says, well, I suppose this will be it then, at least for the moment. If you have anything else that you need, then you're more than welcome to come back. I'll keep an eye out for things that need to be done. Until
Who do we
then,
go to for like this? Who do we go to for like the strongest healing potions ever? Is that you? I don't remember.
Potion seller, we require your strongest potions.
Just that's like a just in case thing.
well, I do sell a couple potions. I don't sell anything that's as potent as what Mara could produce anymore. So let's have a look. Potion of healing.
Basically, whatever the strongest healing potions he has, just like 2 of them each.
Okay. He can provide you with checking his stock. He can provide you with 1 superior healing potion and 4 greater healing potions.
They're just 1 greater healing each, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think if we go for the superior, I think Hikan should have that because Hikan
Yeah.
is the most
Mr. Mobile.
Mr. Mobile, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. 5G.
Mm.
Yeah. So, with that done,
I think after all things are concluded, Renji, still holding the hilt of aspiration, says, I don't think this is aspiration any longer. And igniting it in front of himself, says, this is aspiration fulfilled. With that, he kind of gives a nod to what is it? Uriel. And kind of glances at his fellow party members. I think we should get some rest. We have lots to do.
Mm.
You depart from the store and head off to get your rest, wherever that might be.
As he's going back, Max is just like flexing the hand that had the claw on it for like 5 months now. And it's just like feels weird not having it.
Meanwhile, it is late night at the Gerudo Fortress. The chill desert wind blows through the valley. Most of the guards are all positioned next to either a torch or they have something draped over them in order to ensure that they can at least tolerate the cold. Deep within the halls of the Gerudo Fortress, guards positioned outside the door wince slightly as an argument brews. Tyrina slams her fist down on the table and says, "How can you still be deciding to not do anything? This is the end of the world." And across from her, standing at the head of the table, is a very tired-looking General Ortania, who rubs her eyebrows and says, because we don't have much to offer. This entire fortress is all we've got. We don't have resources. We have soldiers, yes, but how much can we spare before we leave ourselves vulnerable, and how much can we do in order to affect this crisis? It would be better if we were to remain here. It's safest for all of us. Tyrina does not accept this answer. She stands straight and, scowling, says, "Max was right. There's nothing here that would ever be helpful if you keep deliberating over things until it's too late. If I'm not getting any help from you, then I'll go and do it myself." And she turns and storms out, leaving the general to fold her arms and heave a sigh. And she looks over the map of the desert again. Little wooden figures to denote where troops might be, sitting mostly clustered around Gerudo Fortress. It's then that she startles at a brief noise, turns, and then immediately kneels as Ganondorf, the young king, steps into the room. Kome and Kotake, his surrogate mothers, ever behind him. He looks over the general with a raised eyebrow and says, "Did I miss something?" The general says, "Just an insolent child, my liege." He says, She does raise a fair point, though. Those four did us a service, providing us with clean water after getting the font back running. As far as I could tell, at this point in time, the scales have been balanced. He reaches over, walks over to the table, takes up a couple of the idols, and then kind of like looks in his hands and says, Maybe it would be wise if Hyrule owed us for something instead. After all, a debt owed can come with a variety of things, can it not? He places them back on the table. The general looks up and thinks about it, and then says, but my liege, and she's interrupted promptly as Kome effectively glides over to her, supernaturally so, and leans in real close and says, "You wouldn't question the king, would you?" And Kotake slides in on the other side and says, "Yes, that would be very foolish." You question the king, our traditions, and he's been tutored so very well by me and my sister, you would be questioning your elders as well. Such a fumble in so few words, dear General. The General shakily nods. Yes. My apologies. How many should we spare? Ganondorf pinches his chin. Thinks 2 squads should suffice for now. Give it a day, however. We need to at least send one scout to figure out what it is they plan on doing to deal with this problem. Appearances matter. And we already have someone who will be a viable candidate to show the true, virtuous, heroic spirit of the Gerudo. She's already angrily on her way there now, as you no doubt are aware. As that conversation happened, we pan out to see Tyrina having finished equipping her regular plate mail. The iron knuckle set, while useful, far too cumbersome.
Also, it would take forever for her to get here if she was wearing it.
She prepares a simple set of things, hops up onto the first available horse she can find, and within the dead of night leaves Gerudo Fortress and heads home to her friends. The rest of the night for you is very peaceful, considering most things. You might have some aspects of anxiety that could keep you awake ever so often. After all, you creep closer, ever closer to ending this. But you do manage to get enough rest. As the morning draws in, you get up, stretch, yawn. Outside is a relatively calm, peaceful day. Only a few clouds are in the sky. A gentle breeze blows. The sounds of the people of the city begin with their morning work. Hundreds of thousands of people unaware of the doom that may be coming for them fairly soon. We cut back outside the city as we see, depending on how urgent he considers it to be, a fairly tired Goron.
I was about to say, how many levels of exhaustion do I have?
Let's see. You spent an entire day doing manual labor, immediately got into a fight with a bunch of zombies, and then then basically rolled/ran on foot 20 miles from Arsamark to Hyrule Castle Town. I'd say let's go with 2, because exhaustion goes on a scale of 1 to 6 and can be lethal. So 2 should be okay, and you'll be able to get them back if you rest properly. But yeah. Just on the just outside the western gate of Hyrule, having made a marathon sprint/roll from Arsamark, is Kaikuana, wandering through the farmlands just outside the gates. The drawbridge has been dropped by this point, so you're able to go in if you need to. But yeah, I think Kai knows where everybody lives, right?
I think you'd know where the house is.
Yeah. So I should probably have asked prior to this, because you still have rooms at the castle as well. Did everybody go back to the house, or did
I did.
Hikan would have gone back to the house.
I think Renji is going to sleep at the castle this time and see if there can be some preparations made to move his bed to the house.
Sounds good.
At the very least, the mattresses, because he is a very picky sleeper.
Inside?
Sidon will just go back to the house, I think.
Okay. So, unless Kai stops for any reason anywhere else in the city, that morning you're all awoken to a knock on the door. Unless Kai feels it's urgent enough to just open.
Pounding on the door.
So tired, he just uses his head.
It's a cop knock.
2 bits. Oh.
We probably all would have been up since we only need 4 hours, so
Yeah.
I'll answer the door.
Oh, you wouldn't happen to have any hot spring water, would you?
No.
All right. Bad news. A bunch of zombies came over to Automark last night, talking with a weird
As
guy's
he's talking,
voice.
Max is going to get him some whatever water is available.
And said 5 days last night, so I'd operate on 4 days a time. Whatever you guys got planned, we got to get it done on the double.
Right. I'm gonna use the sanding stone I have to tell Renji.
I'm on my way.
Just be like, Kai showed up. We've got 4 days.
There's a flowery string of Zoran curse words.
Max just puts the rock down, gives Kai the water, and then goes and picks it up again while the curse words are happening.
There's just something vaguely French coming out of this sending stone, and as Max is getting things ready with Kai, there is like a moment where Renji goes like, "I'm fine, like I'm getting there. I'm on my way." Blah blah blah.
I only caught every other word in that one, but damn, that was colorful because I speak Zoran.
This is
Yeah,
like
Max just says, yeah, probably.
just a multilingual scribe at the castle is just like, I didn't even know that one was a thing.
Where did you pick up
Language. Did Nihilus teach him?
At this point, probably Max taught you those words. You just translated them to Zoran.
Oh dear.
Yes, because Renji does not just curse like as a native in Zoran. He curses like a foreigner in Zoran.
Yeah. Max wears a lot. In both common and draconic.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. Oh dear. But yes, you have Kai with you at the moment, and as Kai has said, you basically have 4 days. Insert Majora's Mask, dawn of the first day here.
96 hours. No, wait, hold on. Yes, 96 hours remaining.
Yep.
Give or take some, because he showed up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we only need 4 hours of sleep, so it probably is still the night.
When Renji gets there, he's of course missing the cloak, but he has changed from a red tunic underneath his mithril half-plate into a blue one. Yes, to match the sunblade.
Yeah.
Color coordinating.
Yeah, shut up.
What? It's
Didn't have
important.
much time.
When you get back, Max has like gone upstairs for something.
Kai, good to see you. Shame about the circumstances.
Yeah. Oh. I have spent all night, or most of the night, fighting off zombies, and then I rushed here straight afterwards.
You... Wow, okay, that's good.
Might have pulled something on the way out. I don't know.
Uh.
I'll find out later.
Let's see. Yeah, I got nothing, buddy. Sorry.
It's fine.
Max comes down with two things. First, he's got his backpack, which has a bunch of food in it, which is really good food, and we're just gonna make a big breakfast.
Nice.
Wait,
And
actually, I do
two,
have something. Oh, but go ahead.
he's wearing the robe. Just and if anyone asks, he just listens and says, "I gotta get used to it."
I will say it looks fancier than anything I've seen you wear.
Yeah, it is 100% the fanciest thing he's ever worn.
I don't hate it.
Oh dear.
Master says it's just for 4 days. At least I
Okay.
know when I can give it back now.
I thought I had something, but turns out it's something I can only cast on myself. I have fiendish vigor. I can cast false life on myself.
It's fine. After we get things settled here, I'll probably go over to Goron work, see if those guys got any spring water, and get a nap in. See how I feel after that.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, I have a decanter of endless water if you just need water.
No, oh god, it's great. It's a fantastic offer, but it's not the same as hot spring water.
It's magic.
Yeah.
It feels magical.
Probably magic.
Reinvigorates you, especially if it's straight from Death Mountain. It's good stuff. Get a nice good soak in.
Okay. So, 4 days. The question then begins. First, we need to determine, I think, and I'm going to largely be speaking out of character on this one, just for the sake of it, as you kind of sit down, all 5 of you,
This is basically an abstraction of the discussion had over breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes.
First off, because I know this is a significant part of your plan, did you have thoughts on where you would like to confront Nazgradar?
Yes, I did have some thoughts. Could you bring us to the world map, please?
Ah.
Well, map.
So, generally speaking, what I was thinking
I
is
will laugh a
avoiding.
lot. I will laugh a lot if you say Flamco shop.
Go ahead.
I haven't considered that.
We'll get there. We want to avoid the west end of Hyrule. And obviously, Nazgradar's reach is reaching to Audemars. That was one of the thoughts that Nether and I had when we were sitting there and talking about it. I thought somewhere in northeastern Hyrule, because it was first going to be north or south Hyrule, but I was thinking northeastern Hyrule, especially if we're getting help from the Zora and the Gorons to get as much time, so right about here-ish, if we can.
Okay.
So that way we can get more people to that space if possible. It makes the Gerudos, the ones that we can get to help us, have to take longer in regards to that, but they have to take the long trip anyway, because even if they were going to, because the closest that we could probably get would be Automark. Obviously, this is open for discussion. Hikan insists on pulling in Risha for this talk, as he's kind of looking at the map and measuring things. But yeah, so
Okay.
like he's got thread and he's measuring things around and figuring out where everyone can meet up without going too far out of their way.
Sounds good.
So I was thinking northeastern Hyrule, and I'm open to any other suggestions.
We do want to keep it from Sarkosa as well, because they were still recovering.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And having an option to have forces from Zora's Domain and Death Mountain come to assist. I don't think it's...
And possibly also Kakariko?
Yeah. That was actually also a thing. This is definitely not something like, hey, this is good for the team. But Renji would probably ask Zaiden if Zaiden could help him get to Kakariko for like an afternoon. To talk to his mom. But that's like a day, another day thing. For now, I agree
I
with...
imagine today will be for like talking to people and getting people to show up. So you could probably do it today.
Yeah, and...
Because the rest of the days are probably going to be figuring out how to get him into that spot and fight him there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree with Hikan's proposition of getting it to the northeast of Hyrule Castletown.
Fair enough.
Because the closest things are Drumnik, which has defenses, Rigenstead, which is just like a trading spot,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and Lon Lon Ranch, which exists in future games. So it'll probably be fine.
Ranch was a consideration.
I
Not a
was
serious
joking,
one.
but I did say Lon Lon Ranch.
Get all the horses to fight him.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Alright, so we have a desired destination. Northeast Hyrule. Okay.
It's somewhere around there.
So, keeping things upon this plane, besides aid from the Gorons and the Zora and maybe the Sheikah and potentially the Gerudo if they can get there in time, was there any specifics about the battlefield that you would like to prepare for? Any ideas?
Do we have any means of checking to see how many skeletons are underground? Is there a detect bone spell? And if not, can Uriel invent one?
Ooh. That might have to be a thing that I think about between sessions.
Can Uriel invent the field of anthropology?
Oh dear. Yeah, I'll have a think about that one. But that is something to consider, definitely. I mean, you'll have, depending on how you like divest your time or like and stuff like that, I would think that you would have at least one day to scout out particularly good spot, depending on what it is you're
Mhm.
looking to do and where it is you're intending to go to.
After breakfast, Max is basically going to fly out there and basically spend as much time as everyone else is going to other places to get help, to just look around.
Okay. That's the case. Alright. So that's
that
definitely
case, I would-
consider.
Yeah, that's a consideration. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a consideration for how to deal with potential hazards that Nazgradar himself might create. Are there any hazards or additional things that you would like to add to the battlefield yourselves, besides dudes?
Does Hyrule Castletown have access to siege weaponry?
You would have to ask Dr.
Yes.
Crane about that one.
Okay. So yeah, I would probably ask Dr. Crane about such things to see if he has any ideas on what to do to take out large swaths of undead, because we are probably still going to deal with a lot of them. Because I think I'll take everything, like, optimistically, I think I'll take everything within a radius with us.
Okay. Sounds good. So you know who to ask about potential siege weapons.
I think things like ballistas would probably be a good idea.
Yeah. The big old rocks.
A bit more accurate than like a trebuchet or something.
Okay. Then, besides that, there is the matter of getting your target to the location.
Yeah.
Now, there are certain things to consider in this factor. You can definitely use the Spelljammer to get to the Plane of Lament, but it's not necessarily flight-worthy as of yet. Which means that you would basically be landing within the... you would basically land in the Plane of Lament in the physical equivalent location of where it currently is, which is Sarkoza.
If we have it brought here, we could go in closer, maybe.
Yeah.
Or the part of it that we need in order to, teleport.
Yeah.
Today, Hikan would like to go to Masro Village to see, I believe I suggested this in chat, to see if there's anything left of the pillars that took Masro to the Plane of Lament.
Okay.
Because Uriel mentioned the Plane Shift spell.
Yeah. See. I could probably answer a lot of these, like, I'm going to do this thing for next session or between then.
Well, this is all planning for next sessions.
Yeah. So, let's see. I would say, yeah, I'll answer questions because I know there was also the scouting things out by air on Max's part for the actual location itself. So we'll answer that as well at some before the end today. I would say, based off of Zaiden's previous insight roll during the discussions of things in Hyrule Castletown, there is the concern that simply being in the Plane of Lament and stuff wouldn't necessarily be enough in order to coerce Nazgradar into coming to where you are. Because at this moment in time, the thing he needed from you the most was Mara, which he now has. And he might be of a mind to think that, as powerful as you are, you might not be enough. He might not see you as enough of a threat to divert from his original plan. So
Renji
I think there is
Renji's kind of like been thinking about this for a while, and then goes, is there something maybe we can do with leaders of the faith where it's like we take them to the plane of lament and kind of start like purifying it, or like have the threat of doing so, to bring Nazgûl there, and then we can pull him back into the plane of material things here.
Something to ask Das about.
Yeah, you would have to ask Das for that.
Because I don't know what we can do to kind of lure him in.
Like, if it was a big show of power, I need that power in order to do the thing that I
Yeah.
to save Mara.
Yeah.
It's a 9th level spell slot.
Mm-hmm.
I have
We don't have a lot of those. No.
I can't get those back with sorcery points.
No, and I also had a thought for Zidon and maybe others, that we go to Zora's domain, transport via plant, then go to Kakariko, maybe stay the night there, then the next day go to Death Mountain to speak with folks, and then go back here. That would take 2 days.
If you want to cut things down, instead of going back home, you could come to where Max is after Death Mountain, scouting around, because he'll probably stay out there and like double, triple make sure that everything's right, so we could go in there from the spot that that we intend to bring him in through, so we know where it is on the other side.
Very possible.
I said all that in one breath, and I was very much running out of breath at the end.
No worries, no worries. Me too.
It's fine.
I wasn't even talking it in one breath, but yeah.
Hikan is also willing to split up when we reach Kak in order to go up to Death Mountain with like Kaikuana to see if he can run into Roto or Darunia, since we've
Can't call it Kak. Please.
Yes. You guys do Kakariko and then split off to Black Mountain and Zora's Domain, maybe.
Okay.
What would be a recall knowledge check?
With the Spelljammer thing, if that could be brought to Max where he's scouting, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
As for recall knowledge, depends on what you're trying to recall.
Hikan is trying to recall the memories from Blackmore Castle, I guess would probably be the best way to put it.
Oh. Straight up memory is usually, I think it's just an intelligence check. I'm gonna say history. Let's go with history.
Could I help here with the spell Borrowed Knowledge?
Sure.
I would like to cast that. It says self, but I would like to cast it on Hikan.
Okay.
Cast it on yourself, so borrow some memories from your brain and put them in Hikan's.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah. Alright. Okay.
Okay. There we go.
You have proficiency in the chosen skill, so I'll just click that real quick. Click.
Yep.
All right, my history went from -1 to +5. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's a 13.
Nice.
Okay. What would you like to know about Blackmore from what you experienced while you were there in the past?
Generally speaking, what Hikan's suggestion would be, is if he can remember it, is to make a mock ritual, because we don't have time to make a real one, but is to make a fake ritual to try to lure Nazgûl there, because if he would believe that we are that we went over there to try to seal him away again, that also might get his attention.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Did have all of the notes about the orbs and stuff from that last time.
Yeah, you took a
Mhm.
lot of notes on that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Sounds
like,
like-
hollowing the ground in the plane of lament and doing the muck ritual might be enough to start getting his attention to be like, all right, no, these fuckers gotta.
I better get over there and stop that before
Where
they do
did
that
you
again.
find this shit?
More like when.
Destroyed all these photographs.
Okay. Sounds like an interesting plan. Very well. Okay. So, if I recall correctly, the matter of getting Nazgradar to the material plane can be handled largely by the Harp of the Goddess.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, getting back is gonna be easy enough. It's just the getting there and getting him to us. Is the
yeah.
problem.
If that's the case, let's see. You've gonna ask Dr. Crane about siege weaponry. Gonna ask Das about faith casters
some
in order
help.
to do the ritual and thing, that sort of thing. You're going to spend a couple of days going to Zora's Domain and Death Mountain and Kakariko in order to request aid and coordinate that way. You're going to go to Masro in order to see if there's anything left behind after the vanishing of the town, and
See if we can use it for plane shift.
yeah,
Mhm.
and all that is then left after this is a matter of putting things in place, calling people through, and hopefully dealing the final blow to Nazgradar.
Yes.
So before I end the session for today, let's go over a couple of things that you see during your scouting of things. Like I said, there, depending on the amount of time and information and stuff, next session might not be the last one, but the one afterwards, if not the next one, the one afterwards definitely probably will be.
Okay.
So
If it's the one afterwards, that might be close to the anniversary of the stream.
Actually, no. If it's this one, if it's the next one, not
Ah,
the one before
nice one,
after
yeah.
that, because
that might
we
be
started
close
in
to the anniversary.
February 2018,
oh,
and let me see here. Because I believe you had on YouTube uploaded it very early. And that was... Oh, it was uploaded April.
yeah, the YouTube thing
2018.
came out, so the SoundCloud one's probably going to be the sooner one.
The SoundCloud one is going to be sooner, but that only says... oh. That was your voice. Just very quickly. 7 years ago, it says... Does it have a date? Can't find that
Metadata.
myself.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Oh well.
Let's have a look. See.
I thought it was somewhere in the 20th of February.
There's probably a thing. So, oh, hang on a sec. Aha.
Aha.
Does that work on that one? It does. 21st of February 2018.
21st. So if we
Basically, the next 2 sessions are on either side of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're good either way.
Yeah.
Good either way.
Excellent.
It will be an approxiversary.
Approxiversary. Delightful. But
Merry
yes.
approxiversary.
Yeah.
So, in that case, yeah, I'll probably have the next session be like the final deliberations, discussing with the Zora and the Gorons and
And-
everything.
And implementing whatever the start of the plan is.
Yeah. Last
And then
chances for
have a
character
very
interaction
nice
between the
cliffhanger.
party.
With NPCs.
Yeah.
Renji going to Kakariko.
Yeah. Okay. So, in that case, the last 2 bits before we end for tonight. First, scouting out the battlefield.
Yes.
What you find is that most of the battlefield there is what appears to be the start of some wetlands. There's definitely large patches of stable earth which you can stand on, and plenty of places where siege weaponry can be planted and soldiers appropriately placed. The real conundrum that comes down to it is that it is fairly uneven ground. The only individuals who would have any kind of advantage from these places, because there are like little ponds and lakes and streams that run through the place, would be the Zora themselves. But otherwise, it does seem perfectly serviceable as a battlefield. It seems quite plain.
If we move it a bit closer, like this away, so that the siege weapons can be put up here
Oh, okay.
on this more solid ground.
Sounds good. You kind of like fly over, you note the higher elevation.
I'll be like informing the others of like suggestions as I'm flying around with the sending
Yeah.
stone.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. You find what appears to be the most appropriate place where this can transpire. And then meanwhile, checking out Mazro, or what used to be Mazro. You find that what was once there is, which was a full town, has been completely and totally uprooted. There's patches of dead grass and dirt that's been depressed from where buildings used to be. It's not like a clean circle has been cut in the earth in order to accommodate for it. It looks like as if every building, every structure has been uprooted right down to the basement and has then been shifted elsewhere. There's like oddly uniform square holes in the ground where basements used to be. What you don't find, however, are any of the pillars or any remnant of the pillars that were there.
Darn.
Yeah,
It was worth a shot.
it was worth a shot. And you do have you have other methods by which you can bounce between places if needs be. You've got the Spelljammer engine on the way to potentially push you in the right spot. And yeah. But that will be done for now. As next session, you make your way to deal with the other great tribes of Hyrule in order to secure their aid and prepare for the final confrontation.
At dawn, we treat with officials.
Indeed. But yes, thank you everybody for so much for watching / listening. I am ArticulateT. I am the game master for Legend of Zelda Hyrule Chronicles. This is D&D campaign episode 138, which, coincidentally, if I do make the one after the next one, the last one, it ends on a nice round number.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, with me as always, I have Nether playing Renji Vox.
As me.
I have Alvarance playing Hikan Sio and Kaikuana.
Bye-bye.
I have Rubber Pirate playing Zaiden Shari.
Bye-bye.
And I have Danny Cat playing Max.
We're getting there. We're gonna do it. We're gonna beat him.
Yeah.
We're gonna kick his ass.
Yeah.
And we'll see you folks next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.